Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin and Rugby Preview Show. Joining me to look ahead to Saturday's first match on Leinster South African tour is someone making his 81st pod appearance. Welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
Finally, the Caps number matches my age. So, yes, what a weekend that's incoming.
Indeed. Well, if you missed our emergency pod during the week, myself, Keego, and Keno had to harp on all the announcements coming out of Leinster Rugby since last weekend. We looked at Dan Sheehan, Ross Maloney, and of course the signing of Geordie Barrett. But even that couldn't keep up with all the news. We since learned of Tyler Byandell coming in as coach, Gibson Park joining Sheehan on a central contract, renewed sponsorship deal with Bank of Ireland, RDS renovation, meaning the Aviva will be more permanent home next season. And as we record, Croke Park is coming very close to a sellout for that match against Northampton Saints. It's all happening, Keego.
Could you imagine being a Munster supporter right now and how annoyed you'd be?
No.
Uh, no, I've just thought I'd start a fight early. But Jeannie Mac, what a week for the organisation. What a week for the team. And, we got to keep it up on the pitch as well, obviously. But Jeannie Mac, what a week of news. As a child of the 80s, the good news is followed by, in my mind, something like that. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I think the organization and the work done behind the scenes means we're on a slow increase all the way through. But no, what a week.
Yeah, and the likes of we were talking about central contracts there during the week. I mean, it's they you can't say they haven't earned them. Those who have gotten them.
Yeah, we were talking with Keno, and we were kind of saying, look, we get it, but there's no one complaining about the person getting the contract. Everyone is kind of agreeing that the person deserves it. I think what needs to be said out loud is that the central contracts are not closed off for anybody. So the door is always open. You know what the standard is in that jersey. If you're number 9 in this country, you know what the standard has to be in the shop window for a central contract. Now, you've also got to be supported by your province, and you've also got to be managed well by your coach and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of the players themselves, um, uh, it's up to that. You look at the players on the way up. You look at Casey from Munster on the way up, a great player, but a lot of time between him and Gibson Park. He's building his way up, but also it's about Munster managing him well, getting him in and into big pressure situations, and him Casey proving to the team that he can do the job, and then that moves all the way up the ladder. But doors aren't closed on these contracts. Everyone knows that they can get them if they are good enough, and I think that's one thing that maybe people are gleefully skipping over when their
Yeah,
team doesn't get them.
yeah. I mean, everyone says how rugby is perfectly imperfect, and I think that something like central contracts is a perfect example of that
Mm-hmm.
in itself. Because I mean, there's no way of doing it. You can't say each province must have an equal amount. You can't do it that way. So it's in a kind of evolving process of how to deal with them. And it's the look right now. I think we've got like 10, and there's like one each for all the other. I mean, that's definitely not a good look across the provinces. That's for sure. But you just got to hope that they're looking for ways to to maybe refine it and make it seem fair or whatever. And we've got David Humphreys coming in, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
he'll have a few news ideas, and we'll see how all that works out in the future. But listen, yeah, come on.
Just one thing, everyone needs long-term memories, not short-term memories. This ain't TikTok, this is real life. There are a lot of players coming off central contracts who had been on them for quite a while who are not Leinster players. So it's not that they're throwing them just into the training ground and behind UCD. It was not evenly, but it was spread around up until relatively recently. Players retire, players move on, players form dips, things like that happens. But the main thing is the door is open. So just go run through the door.
Yep, absolutely. And just before we get to our match, you wanted to have a word on an interview you heard with the man
Mm.
himself, Mr. Ronan O'Gara.
Look, we all love Raj, and for 80 minutes last weekend, we love to hate him. And the backlash of people said all this booing stuff when he was shown on the big screen. Now, the director on the day showed him on the big screen to get the boos going. But if you listen to Raj this morning, he was on off to whatever it is this morning for about 20 minutes. And he's talking through the recovery process, and they bring up the booing, and you could see his eyes light up. He loved it. He thought it was the biggest compliment that we could give him, and he took it the way we meant it. We booed him because he's outtaught us, outfought us, outworked us for 2 years, and now we were suddenly on the way. We needed that little bit of aggression, and that was all that was. Afterwards, he was in the tunnel shaking hands with everyone. It was great to see. There was no messing around, no horseplay. It was just shake hands, fair play, all done. We have to stop overreacting at absolutely everything. I think it shows us up as being children when we're supposed to be grown-ups.
Yeah, I mean, booing isn't ideal at matches like this, but I mean, if for a lot of people that was their first and often only takeaway
Yeah.
from that game last weekend. I mean, there was so much so much more going on than that. And then, the booing. I mean, there's a lot of pantomime villain things. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like there's banter and there's crack in Leinster v Munster, and that's once you keep it at the right levels, it's and I don't see what the problem is, but things kind of get blown out of proportion. But listen, hey, it is what it is, and like you say, he seems to revel in it. So it'll probably go on. And imagine if a Leinster player, if Sexton or someone ended up on the screen down at home, and
Yeah.
probably the same reaction. So it's like you say, switch the jerseys. Anyway, listen, now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Emirates Lions v Leinster in round 14 of the 2023-24 BKT United Rugby Championship. It's taking place at the Emirates Airlines Park in Johannesburg on Saturday, April 20th, kicking off at 2 p.m. Irish time. TV coverage in Ireland is on RTE2 and URC.tv. As ever, you can find the full listings for the weekend over at harpenrugby.com. Just click the Rugby on TV tab. Leinster named their match day 23 at lunchtime on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right there on the screen, or for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. What do you make of that lineup,
I,
Keego?
I quite like it. There's a couple of things though with kind of Ross Byrne getting momentum back and putting that shift in last week. Part of me was thinking, do we get more minutes? Do we lose that momentum? But you know what I mean. That's why I pay for my jersey. But if you look at the leaders around the pitch, Healy's back in, brilliant. That Ty's back in. You got Luke McGrath. Harry Byrne is going to get 2 games uninterrupted, which is great for him. Prendergast on the bench, Rob Russell back. It's just there's and Frawley going out is almost the opposite of Ross Byrne. I want to protect him a little bit, but again, it's all character building. So I think you look at that, you look at what we've got. Ross Maloney, big news about him during the week as well. Al Alato on the bench. So there's leadership all the way through to guide these guys through as safely and efficiently as possible. Delighted to see Healy back, and I hope everyone stays healthy because there was all the talk of La Rochelle doing the tour before they came to see us. We now have to, head to Croker with all these miles and frequent flyer miles in the pocket. So hopefully everyone comes through it healthy.
Yeah, I mean, this time last year we traveled to South Africa with pretty much first place in the bag, so we could afford to send what became known as the Reese Ruddock All Stars down to South Africa. We played these same Lions, but we actually beat them with a Sam Prendergast, I think, penalty at the very
Yeah.
end. That was a great performance, but this time it's not quite that certain at the top of the URC. We've got Glasgow and the Bulls right behind us, and they both got pretty good. Glasgow still to play Zebra twice. Bulls have a lot of home matches to come up, so that gap that we have ahead of the two of them can fall pretty quickly if with a few bad results. We've still to go to Belfast, I think, as well. So there's a lot of uncertainty there in our matches. So we needed a stronger team, and we've definitely gotten it. Harry Burns starting at 10 is a good move. Kieran Frawley, Charlie Natai back at 12. What
Yeah.
if his defensive timing is as good as his return, the timing of his return to the team? That's a real boost for our center partnership there. He's perfect. Him and Liam Turner be really
Yeah.
strong center combination there, and there's just loads to and second caps as well for Andrew Osborne and Dermot Mangan there. So there is there still are prospects in that lineup, and it's been great experience for them going forward. It is a really strong lineup.
No, absolutely. And look, there are still players who don't, whether they want to leave or don't want to leave, they want to leave everything in that jersey. You look at Jenkins, you look at Charlie, you look at all these players, so they're going to go for it. And similar last year, I do think that was that Prendergast debut or no, which there was a
It was
debut
one of
where,
his first games, at
yeah.
least. Yeah.
So, but I think, you look at the players who are going to get time like Prendergast. I think it's going to be great for them. The Lions are going to fancy it because, everyone knows what's in the back of the Leinster mind. So this is where being a professional shows up. And that's why there's so many leaders around that pitch. Luke McGrath is going to be right there beside Harry Byrne all day, all the way down. But you've got Healy up front going. I've seen all this before. I remember when they invented rugby. That's how old I am. And he's going to be just making sure everyone stays in the right place between the ears. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, and just to put the Lions team up for a second there, they've a settled lineup. They don't have a lot of Springboks in their lineup that but still they do play a lot together. They've gotten some good results. They're definitely in the playoff picture. They've had some good results recently. They had a big win at the Sports Ground against Connacht not too long ago. So we definitely can't take them for granted, especially at home soil and at altitude.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the thing I forgot until I logged in this morning. The altitude these guys play at. So, and it's unfortunate. Usually when you're playing at altitude, you get out there as early as you can, get used to losing your lungs and building them back up again. So that's why the bench is going to be massive. So, like again, it's all about being professional. Like there should be a win for Leinster here. There should be a good win for Leinster here. The guys should find this to be the bringing together of this group of people for the South African tour. So it has to happen, but they have to be professional. The Lions will fancy it, but it's up to us to put them back in their place.
Absolutely. Okay, so now
should have said cage there. I apologize.
That's
Lions
it. It was right
cage.
there. It was right there. But sure, what can you do? It's not always
too much
easy.
Sudafed. I
Yeah,
apologize.
you save those puns for the Lions tour. So we'll forgive you this time. That's it. Okay, listen, we'll have a quick look at the officials now. As you can see, we have an Italian referee, South African assistants with an Italian TMO. The weather now for Joburg, we're talking about altitude, 28 degrees, plenty of sunshine, practically no wind, no rain. So I'm out of breath just reading that, thinking of what it's going to be like for the last 20 minutes. But I hope, that's the strength and conditioning. Leinster put out videos of them all, getting themselves ready, getting themselves conditioned there. So I'd say they'd be pretty much ready for that. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so there's a full round of matches in the URC this weekend. What other matches caught your eye?
So we got 25-8. We got Connacht and Zebra. So yeah, Connacht are. I think there's something building there. Zebra, no joke. So it'd be a great win for them in the sports ground. We know it's going to be full. We know it's going to be cold, even though the sunny spells are coming in. It'll probably rain, thunder, sleet, everything at the same time. So it's up to the crowd to keep the momentum going. And I think Connacht have it in them. I haven't seen the team yet, but I think they have another bit of momentum to add. Finish strong, and then build into next season.
Yeah, it was a tough ask for both Ulster and Connacht to get 2 away wins in the Challenge Cup, but they did well overall, I think, in those matches. But they're both in that playoff picture. There's a big clump of teams in the middle of the table all fighting for those top 8 slots, and they both have big home matches this weekend against, I think it's Cardiff on Friday night and Zebra. So they'll both need to put big wins. Every point's difference is going to be critical at this time of season. And of course, Munster are there in South Africa themselves, and they're playing the Bulls. So Munster have gone strong with their lineup, very strong. So of course they've had last week off, so that probably helped out. I didn't want to mention that, but I thought I'd say that before you did. But anyway, no, seriously, they've gone strong for that game against the Bulls. That's going to be a tough contest. So lots of interest with the other provinces, and I can't let it go without a shout out to the Irish women who are playing. They've obviously a daunting task against the Red Roses of England on Saturday, but after last weekend's amazing performance where they had a really strong win over Wales, it's their first win in a couple of years in the Six Nations, and it almost guarantees they're not going to finish bottom. It actually puts them third on the table for now, which would be amazing finish, and it's still within their reach. So if nothing else, this game against England, it'll help them. It'll give them another game playing together, get used to their systems, whatever, and then they'll go into their last game in Belfast against Scotland next week. So that's to look forward to. Again, it's a shame it clashes directly with the Leinster game. I know it's not always easy to make them to make them watchable, but 2 weeks in a row, it's tough to have to make that choice. Yeah. But listen, best of luck to the ladies all the same. Okay, so that just leaves us with your Lions v Leinster prediction. Head on the block time.
I think it's Leinster +9. I think Prendergast comes on and sinks a couple of penalties towards the end. I think it's 10, let's say 10 plus, but I think Prendergast comes on and makes a big change at the end. Maybe settles the nerves a wee bit, and so I think that's it, +10.
Fingers crossed. Okay, well, listen, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us again. Have you got any stand-up gigs lined up down the road, man?
So next week we're in Dublin. I can't remember right now, but keegolaughs.com, you'll find it all there.
It's all there. The link is in the program notes. Okay, listen, have a great weekend, man. Hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Cheers.
And many thanks to you all for tuning in to our latest preview show. And if you can also tune into Dublin South 93.9 FM around 5 p.m. on Fridays, check out our Harp and Rugby segment. Then be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are. And you can follow us on all the usual social media channels, including Threads and Blue Sky. We will, of course, have a wrap pod for you this weekend, recording on Sunday evening. So hopefully you help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.